So, Jared, I want you to just tell me a little bit about yourself first, please.
All right. So I'm from the island of Jamaica, and I've been in the States for about 20 years now, actually. I left
Mm.
Jamaica after going to high school there and went to med school, did my residency in psychiatry, got married. Now we're like 14 years later, so have two kids and trying to do this marriage thing, our own marriage, but also helping other people with their marriages. So just trying to see what we can do to give back to other people.
Okay. And Kara, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, Marsha. Well, as you know, I am born and raised in the beautiful island of Trinidad and Tobago, the best Caribbean island there is. Left Trinidad when I was 22 to come to the States to attend college to pursue my social work degree. And then right after I graduated, we got married in 2006. I did my master's in 2009 at University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill. And my concentration was management and community practice to specifically work with nonprofits. I actually started to think about something that my old mentor from Big Brothers Big Sisters had told me years ago, which was, Cara, why don't you do something that you're passionate in? Like you're passionate about marriages and helping couples. Why not make your next step that? And back then I wrote him off completely. I was like, absolutely not. People don't work in their passion, because when you work in your passion, you automatically start hating your job and hating life. And I didn't want to hate working to help marriages, so I never really considered it something that I could do as a career. And so by the time we got to Miami, I kind of came full circle, and then I started to do pursue kind of courses as well as opportunities like an intern at Wellspring Miami to get clinical experience in couples therapy, counseling, trauma, and a host of other things. So that's kind of how I came full circle with working behind the scenes to working frontline.
Jared, one of the things I know when you did your degree, your doctorate, was marriage part of the path where it started, or was it something that eventually
question? I always knew that I wanted to kind of work with, within the church community, with families, and so one of the reasons why I ended up doing psychiatry was because I wanted to be able to use skills I would learn in that field to work within, churches and so forth. But I don't think I had necessarily that specific focus on marriage until later on, when Cara myself started to do a couple workshops in marriage at different churches and so forth. And then that really kind of pushed me to get more training. And so when I was pursuing my residency in adult psychiatry, doing outpatient work, I started to pursue couples counseling training. So learning to work with couples and so on. And then by the time I got to do my child psychiatry fellowship, I did a whole lot more work working with families and with couples, and also realizing that for a lot of kids, the parents, marriage situation affected them so significantly that you needed to be able to help the marriages of the parents if you really wanted to help the kids as well. So it really come full circle.
He was also an overachiever, because while he was doing his medical degree, he also got his psychology degree.
Of course.
I know. Yeah.
Right.
So here's where we're at. So we've established that you guys are more than capable and knowledgeable in doing marriage counseling.
Yeah.
I know most couples come into marriage counseling with the thoughts that it's already broken, we just want a divorce. What advice would you give to couples who are at the end of their journey, why it is important for them to at least seek marriage counseling first?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that one, I would say that that's not uncommon, that it's not uncommon for anybody to feel like there is no hope. When you've reached that point of feeling hopeless, it's very easy to give up and feel like I've done everything that I could do possible. And I'm just a strong believer in, once there's life, there's hope.
Right.
And once God gives us life, there's always hope. And I believe in the God of impossibilities, and I do believe that even when we feel our worst and when we feel absolutely hopeless, that still doesn't mean that God is not working in the background, and that there is a power greater than us that can accomplish beyond what we can imagine. And so it's kind of like from that framework, I position myself. Like if I, the therapist, start off believing that nothing is impossible, then to me, my job is to just help you recognize that all you have to do is just put one foot in front of the other. You don't have to figure out all the steps between A to Z. You just have to just kind of follow step by step to eventually get to that place without even knowing how you're going to do it. But it's tough.
Jared, have you met couples who were willing to do the work, but they have realized that at the end of it all, it was not going to work? Have you met couples like that? Or have you advised couples like that?
You know, to be honest, I don't think I've ever met a couple where both people said, okay, we're willing to do the work and we're willing to really put in the effort, not just show up for one session or something like that, but like actually put in the work. And they came to the realization that they couldn't make it work. Now, I know there are couples like that, but they are few and far between. I think oftentimes when people come in, you know, one person may have already given up. And if somebody has given up in a marriage, then you really can't help the marriage until both people are willing to commit to say, you know what, for the next 3 months, the next 6 months, we're going to give it 110% and try to make this thing work. If people are willing to do that, I think the vast majority of people do a lot better and their marriages do get significantly better.
However, so one quick add-on to that, I would say, is that even when, so for example, a lot of times when you think of couples therapy, you think of two people coming to couples therapy. And I would also add to that if your spouse or partner is unwilling to even come to couples therapy, that is still okay for you to go to therapy in that context. And it's going to be different because obviously you're not necessarily working on shared goals, but you're also, it gives you an opportunity to change the things that you could change. Because at the end of the day, even within a relationship, I cannot change Jared. I cannot make him do anything that he wants to do, even within a relationship. However, I have influence based on what it is that I can do, and I think that is important for people to remember. It is easy to feel powerless when you're in a relationship that is failing, or in a relationship where the other person has checked out, but don't give up your power. You still have influence, and so even when one person is checked out, don't forget that you also have, if you're not checked out, you also still have your agency and your power and your ability to control your choices that can impact the relationship even in a positive way. That just shows you the power of your agency, that control the things that you could control, and it can make a difference.
So tell me a little bit about the thought behind authentic marriages.
Yes, so authentic marriages, I think, come for both of us from kind of this personal kind of experience, meaning that, we obviously we're from different places and different experiences growing up, but I think we both wanted, firstly for ourselves, to have an authentic marriage, like a marriage that is honest, open, not perfect, definitely not perfect, connected and, just striving to get better. And so we both saw examples where that didn't happen in many situations that we were in, including in churches that we went to. And we just saw how much problems that caused, and we didn't want that. We wanted something better for ourselves. And I know for me personally, my parents stand as a great inspiration for me, because even though they don't have a perfect marriage, they've been married like 45 years now. And that's dedication, that's commitment. And I see when both people are willing, you can make a marriage work, And I think that really inspired us to say, okay, we're seeing all of this. We know that there is a way for people to have better marriages. We need to use our skills and try to help people to get better marriages and to grow into what God wants them to become, And so it's not, impossible. It's definitely something that can be done. And so we feel like we have the ability, so we should help people to get to that point in their marriages.
Yeah, and really it's like to create a safe space for couples to be able to connect and to reconnect with each other, but also to have a community of like other couples. Because I also think that that's important, is that we were not made to be in isolation, and that God created us for community. And part of that includes having support systems in place. And we really live in a society that's very individualistic. And even before, coronavirus, I think like it really, like this pandemic really showcases the need for community and human connection. Right. Because all of us are like, oh, we're going crazy in the house. Right. And like, but that shows what God put inside of us. Like that desire for human connection. And so authentic marriages ideally is to create a community of other couples where we can all pour into each other and pour into each other's relationships. And so we want to do this by, having workshops and having, in-person live workshops and retreats where couples can get to know each other as well as reconnect and re-inspire their own relationship, but doing it with people who are also on the same mission.
So in closing, do you all have anything to add or tell your viewers?
I mean, I would just say, I feel like, with almost anything in life, the important things in life, you put your time and energy into, Yeah. And so marriage is the same way. And for a lot of people, their marriages is a centerpiece for their families and for their ability to do work, their jobs, and, even in their communities, their marriage is a centerpiece, but oftentimes it gets very little attention. Mm-hmm. And so it's not, unusual that a lot of people start to struggle after a while. And so I think people need to really kind of reassess, like, okay, what are the most important things to me? When I married this person, I made a commitment to that person. And so the commitment takes time, takes energy, and it can be great, but if you don't put in the work, it's going to have a lot of issues. And so authentic marriages, I want it to serve as this place where people can go and people can be a part of this community, that people are taking their marriages seriously enough to pour into it and to get better. It's not about perfection. It's about openness, authenticity, and just being connected to each other and just trying to get better every day, in your marriage plan together, So I think we have a lot to offer. And I think, there's going to be more things that we're coming down the pipeline that we're very excited about, but authentic marriages, we're here and we're here to help.
Yeah. Wonderful. Kara, you have anything closing?
I would say that, just take this pandemic time to prioritize your relationship. It's very easy to put the kids, especially a lot of everybody's homeschooling by force now. So it's very easy to put their needs ahead of, the needs of your relationship. But I do think that this is a good opportunity for everybody to reset. While the kids, even if the kids are being homeschooled right now, they don't have tennis practice, they don't have swimming practice, they don't have martial arts, they don't have anything happening. And all that ripping and running that we would have done between the hours of 4 to 6 p.m. or 8 p.m. for a lot of people with extracurricular activities, that's the time that you can start pouring back into each other. So just make it happen. Send those kids to bed early. Stop having them stay up till 10 o'clock. Okay? Send them to bed early so you guys can have time together. So
thank you so much for spending this time with me.